Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
Let's take a look at some stocks. They're on the move today. We're joined by Lisa Mateo for the Stock Movers. Good morning.
Good morning. We have to start with bank earnings because we've been talking about them so much. Of course, it coming on the heels of JP Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, which reported earnings that beat estimates. So we'll start with Bank of America. Stock traders, they posted a record quarter. Net interest income topped estimates. Another specific, revenue from equity trading rose 17% to $2.18 billion. Trading of fixed income, currencies, commodities came in close to expectations. But a lot of people want to hear what the CEOs want to say, right? So this is CEO Brian Moynihan said it's business clients, they've been performing well. Also, consumers have shown resilience and that they're continuing to spend. So that really stuck out to a lot of folks. Citigroup, they inched a little bit closer to key profitability target first quarter, lifted its return tangible common equity 9.1% in the quarter. And that's really big because CEO Jane Fraser, she set this target for reaching 10 to 11% by the end of next year. So they're kind of inching closer to that. Traders, they surpassed those expectations. Trading division generated $6 billion in revenue. They also drew a record haul from its wealth business, and this is really a key area under Fraser. Saw 24% revenue jump to a record $2.1 billion. The only downfall, the equities haul of Citigroup lagged increases of more than 40%. It rivals JP Morgan Chase and Morgan Stanley. And another one we've been talking about company is Boeing. The shares have slid as much as 4% this morning before the bell. They're saying China has ordered its airlines not to take any further deliveries for its jets. It also asked the Chinese carriers they stop any purchases of aircraft-related equipment, parts from U.S. companies. It's about 10 Boeing 737 MAX aircraft they're preparing to enter Chinese airline fleets, in case you're wondering how big is this significant. But the trade war is heating up. We've been talking about it. President Trump, right, levied tariffs, 145% on Chinese goods. Beijing then had those retaliatory tariffs, 125. And it changes. And that's the whole thing, is that even this can change at any moment. So we don't know. We've already seen President Trump kind of backtrack on some U.S. levies, too, from here. But it just goes to show you. Through Monday, Boeing shares have declined about 10% this year. So we have planes. You have the auto industry, too, we talked about this morning, because President Trump said they might temporarily exempt the auto industry from tariffs that he previously imposed. That goes back to the back and forth that we've been having. So you have manufacturers like Toyota, Honda, Suzuki climbed over 5% in Tokyo. Korea's Hyundai rose over 5%. Then the European car makers, too, on the flip side, they're on the rise. You have Stellantis jumped about 6%. Volkswagen, BMW both rose over 2%. General Motors and Ford, though, they've been lower this morning, down about 1% for both of them.
Is your head spinning after that?
It is.
My head's spinning.
What's going on?
I don't know how you do it.
But it's hard to keep track because it just keeps changing. Right. You know, we don't know what's happening in the next hour.
Lisa, that was actually brilliant.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.